As Celsius continues to send shivers through the crypto market, a lot of the talk around this latest crisis is focused on the role of staked ETH or STETH. It seems that a lot of Celsius's woes are because of its hefty STETH position, and whether you're a Celsius customer or not, Celsius's problems will probably be causing you problems as well. So, what is the dealio with STETH and why is it bringing so much red into our lives? Let's find out. Now, if you watched our recent video on Lido Finance, you'll know that one of the downsides to staking ETH is the fact that said ETH gets locked up until Ethereum fully completes its transition to proof of stake, which is roughly scheduled to coincide with the first human colony being established on Pluto. Now, staking ETH directly isn't ideal for a lot of people. It gets locked up for a long time, and thus you can't take advantage of any price pumps to make some sick gains. You could try and become a validator, but you'd need at least 32 ETH in order to do that, and let's face it, not many people have that amount lying around. Being a validator is also a fairly technical undertaking and a big responsibility that most of us could probably do without. Delegation isn't really possible either, which means that if you want to stake but still have access to your ETH in some way, you need an alternative. And this is where Lido Finance comes in. Now, Lido Finance offers liquid staking. So, when you stake your ETH via Lido, you get a tokenized version of that ETH, which is STETH. You can think of STETH as being a receipt for that ETH you staked, which can then be freely traded wherever it's supported, which is mostly in other DeFi protocols. And, fun fact, this idea of a tradable receipt is fundamentally what banknotes are. The idea of depositing gold or other precious metals into a bank and receiving a tradable note in return has been around since the 16th century in Europe, though the first recorded use of paper money is from 7th century China. And now, back to the show. So, as I just mentioned, this STETH can then be traded on the open market, and it's pretty damn popular. Lido is staking around 33% of all the ETH on the Beacon chain, and STETH is in the top 20 cryptos on CMC. Put simply, a lot of folks have staked their ETH through Lido, and that includes the folks at Celsius. A lot of Celsius's assets that it is custodying for its users, are in STETH, as are the assets of other platforms similar to Celsius, as it so happens. The problem is, STETH's value has been declining, mainly due to the delays around Ethereum's merge. Now, this was scheduled for August, but that date is now unlikely because of issues discovered when trialing the merge on Ethereum's Ropsten testnet. Ethereum devs have also delayed the difficulty bomb, which was an event planned to make a proof of stake more attractive to ETH miners than proof of work. The difficulty bomb's delay means an almost certain postponement of the merge to, well, we're not sure when. STETH usually tracks ETH's price pretty closely, but it isn't pegged to it the way most stablecoins are pegged to the US dollar, for instance. STETH is not an ETH stablecoin of any sort. It's literally a receipt that gives you a claim for actual ETH when Ethereum's proof of stake transition is complete. It's also interest-bearing, as locked ETH earns interest and can be used in DeFi protocols as collateral. Anyway, STETH's decline in price is largely attributable to the fact that Ethereum's full proof-of-stake transition is not going to happen for a while yet. So, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, Celsius's problem stems from a lack of liquidity. As crypto prices have been declining over the last few weeks, users have been withdrawing their funds from Celsius, and obviously Celsius is duty-bound to honour those withdrawal requests. So, it needs to free up funds, and it's done this by selling off a lot of the BTC and ETH that it holds, but it needs more to meet its liabilities. Because money is flooding out of the crypto market as a whole, if Celsius wants to liquidate some of its STETH positions, it's going to lose money on those trades. What's more, because other market participants know Celsius is in a tight spot, they're going to drive a much harder bargain for taking assets off of its hands. It's a jungle out there, and the law of the jungle is currently in full force. Now, the situation is made worse by the fact that Celsius can't really afford a loss like this. It lost a lot of money in the recent Terra fiasco, and it lost $54 million in the Badger DAO hack late last year. There's also the small matter of the Stakehound disaster from May 2021, when the private keys to tens of thousands of ETH were lost, and at least 35,000 of those ETH coins belonged to, Celsius, and boy could it do with some of that ETH right now. Now, we know where some of Celsius's funds are, thanks to the wallet addresses holding them being visible. But these funds don't come close to matching its liabilities. And if Celsius doesn't have enough funds or can't liquidate enough, then it'll either need to find some form of outside funding from somewhere, or maybe through a takeover or through taking on debt, or it could go bankrupt, which is the absolute last thing that anyone wants to see, because then those holding the bag will be Celsius's users. These are the very same users who are currently unable to withdraw their funds from Celsius since the platform halted withdrawals early yesterday morning. They face an anxious wait to see whether Celsius can somehow raise the liquidity required to honour withdrawals. That's, of course, hoping it's balance sheet solvent. Now, I will quickly point out that rival platform Nexo has offered to buy Celsius amidst this chaos, an offer which would presumably include the liquidity Celsius needs to meet user withdrawals, while simultaneously saving the Celsius platform from implosion. If the Celsius team can't come up with the cash themselves, this might just be the route they decide to take. My point being, it's not yet game over for Celsius, and they do seem to have a plan B available, at least for now. Well, and it's still only Tuesday.